Hi, this is Takuma Nakata. I'm an interaction designer based in Kyoto, and welcome to my vvvv beta graphics tutorial. So in today's tutorial, I'm gonna introduce about superphysical and two things. One, basics of superphysical, and in addition, I'm gonna also share how to import materials from Substance 3D, which is quite easy. So let's get started. Okay, so going back here, I'm just gonna replug because I unplugged everything. So by importing substance material, you can actually sort of like get this kind of look. So as you see, there's a sphere and this material is from substance. It looks really like a concrete floor, and this one is the one that I want to show. So this one I have parallax occlusion applied, so it looks like it should be a flat texture, but it has all the reflection to this side and this side. And if you're familiar with 3D stuff, parallax occlusion is also possible inside vvvv using superphysical. It's a really strong physical-based rendering plugin, if I should say. So I'm going to introduce the basics here. Okay, let's get started. Oh, by the way, this is going to be the first episode out of 3 series. So I'm going to do 3 series with superphysical because it's quite complicated. So first I'm just going to do the introduction, and the second one I'm going to introduce how to do lighting setup to make it look like more rich. And then in the third tutorial, I'm going to explain how to make it easy to implement into your other patches. So these are the 3 episodes. Okay, so let me start from scratch. So delete everything. So for today's tutorial, I'm gonna introduce superphysical by showing off the by using the the sample patch from superphysical. So if you haven't installed it, please go to vvvv superphysical. This one is created by Tonfilm and many other talented smart peoples, Flux, Dottore, and Catwhistle. And I mean, it's really cool that you can use these kind of things in vvvv, and but to be honest, it's quite heavy. So if you have a low power PC, it might not work. If you have a strong one, then it should work. So for those who has a weak one, sorry, you might not be able to follow this tutorial. But if you do, I mean, it's really cool. I mean, I would highly suggest using this inside vvvv because it makes your graphic looks like next level stuff. So just download this one and put it in your packs folder. Mine is located inside here. Yeah. So I have this version of vvvv, so I just put in the packs folder right here. And then I should have superphysical. So today we're gonna use the node inside the group sample patch inside here. So open up node and then module. And then here you should see superphysical help, and there's also deferred, and also if you go back and to examples, there's also forward plus. I mean, they're all really cool, but for today I'll be showing this one because I love this one especially. So once you open it up, it takes a bit of time to open it. Oh shit. Mushrooms. Again. Okay, so once you open it up, this is what you should see. It basically looks quite simple, so you can already play with your camera, and it has volumetrics. So if you turn this on, it turns off the volumetrics. It also has planar reflector, and this one is the reflection. Which one is this one is the one doing reflection, so you can like make it the intensity higher or lower, and you can control the reflection. You can also change the object that's doing the reflection. You have to tweak with this and this to make sure that you have the right transform value. Texture size, this is the rendering size. So right now it's in default it's square, but if you widen this up, it squeezes. But if you higher this up to 1000, then it sort of like goes back right. So you have to make sure that this one is in the right resolution. Yep, it's a bit squeezed right now. Okay, and yeah, so this is, I mean, basically what it is. I still have problem like remembering all the connections. So what I basically do is I just drag and drop these, or create a subfolder, a sub patch out of this and connect it to that, to my patch all the time. Oh yeah, you can also control the blends. So like you can also control the amount of volumetrics you want, and they have like volume size, so you can make it small so that only a certain area has the volume. You can make it bigger, you can make it brighter. I mean, you can do quite a lot of stuff while playing with it. I highly recommend not to fuck this patch up too much, because it's already really well constructed. You can also turn off the super tone mapping. So this one is controlling to make sure that nothing goes too bright. Like right now, I think the fog is really bright, but this super tone mapping adjusts that for you. Yeah, and then here this cons is taking care of all the geometry. So for example, if I want to remove this teapot and change it to a sphere, then I just have to place a sphere here. I can have this one to 60. Okay, so that's like the basic stuff you can do here. And if you want to, so main function here is basically that. In addition, you have light setup and material setup, which you can play quite a lot with it. So if you right click light material, they have a global reflection color. So this is sort of like a background color that you can adjust. I mean, if you want to make it red, you can make it red. It affects the entire scene. And then there's directional light, spot setup, and point light. And basically they're all kind of same. I mean, it's just difference of light type. Point light is point light. So if you turn this off, it sort of, so it seems like the point light is the one that's creating all the volume. So it seems like it was the strongest one. So I'll just turn this one off to make sure that I can check the other ones. And if you right click spot setup, then here you can control the spotlight. Okay. Oh, by the way, if you go back to super physical, you can turn on light helper. Here we have light helper. So if you middle click and then right click enable, now I see where all the lights are. So if I go back to spotlight, so if I right click helper, then I can see, okay, it seems like this one, this triangle is the spotlight. So let's say I want to make it higher and then a little bit back to the z-axis. And right now I think the fob is too strong, so I want to make it look like a spot tip light, and then I'll make the light intensity higher so it looks like a beam-ish light going there. And then I'll change this one to, for example, I don't know, like this greenish color. Okay, so I just set it like this for now. And you can also change the light, yaw, pitch. You can also say if you want it to cast a shadow or not. You can control that individually. So point light right now it's enabled, so it's enabled, so I'll enable it. But I don't. If I say I don't need shadows from it, you can turn it off. And right now the volumetrics from the point light will be off, but the volumetrics from the spotlight is on, right? Like just play around, and I'll say, okay, this one I want it to be blue. And right now it's too strong, so there's intensity here, so I'll just turn it a bit off. Okay, and then I'll press Alt 3 to hide them. Don't press Control W because you're gonna delete it. And then I'll go to directional light, and I think where's the directional light? Okay, so directional light had this helper off, so I'll turn it on. So it seems like this boxed one is the directional light. So if you turn off the up and down the scale, you can change the scale. I think right now it's too close to the object, so I'll make the distance a little bit up. And then I think the intensity is too low, so I'll make it higher. So what it's doing, it's sort of like, you know, directional light. So there's no So spotlight has like fog, so it's the spotlight, like physical spotlight. Direction light is something that goes like flat to certain directions. So this one, it's going, I think it's going to the left axis. So if you turn this up, then it goes back, which means the distance from the object. So this means the distance from the object, right? And then I'll make the scale bigger. And I just keep this one white because I like it. Oh, and if you turn on the shadow, then you can again let it cast the shadow. I think right now the distance is too far. Okay, so it's too strong. Volume is too strong, so I'll turn this one very low. Okay, so now I have all the lights casting volumes, which looks a bit noisy right now, but I'll just keep it like this. So yeah, you can play quite a lot with light setup already. It's super fun. So this was the basic of light setup. I'll just turn off the light helper because it's quite annoying. Okay, so now I have a lot of colors here and still looks quite nice. Okay, so I'll go to the material setup, and this is the main topic for today. So this one is the one controlling the material, and here we have metallicness, roughness, color, emissive. This one is parallax occlusion mapping, subsurface scattering, and iridescence. I don't know how to read this one, and it has reflection as well. And here you have the place where you can import textures. So to import Substance 3D, this is where we're going to play with it. But first of all, let me just play around with these. So since there's 4 objects in the scene, this metallicness has 4 inputs. So if you control this one, so if I control the 4th one, it changes the floor, which means the floor is the 4th geometry. You can spread it, but if you want to make everything with same value, like this roughness, you don't really have to change everything. Like here, if you change this one, then you see like this torus and floor are all changing. So if you turn off the roughness, it doesn't have this noise on the surface, so it's reflecting everything as you see. But if you add it, it sort of gives you like a concrete kind of texture on top of it, so it's not like just direct reflection. And then parallax occlusion mapping, this one is the interesting one. So if you look at this plane, it's texture, so it's basically it should look flat, but here, as you see, it looks a bit three-dimensional, right? And that is because this parallax occlusion mapping is an interesting thing. I'm not familiar with what's happening, but I think it's sort of like replicating the texture in z-axis. So now I think this sample number means, so it's sampling it 12 times. So if you look at it from this side, you can actually sort of see that there's sort of layers here. And then the cool thing about this, I'm going to show it later, but it also the reflection is also applied to here, so that it's not only that it's making texture three-dimensional, but it also applies the light casting and everything, I think, using normal map. So this one is great as well. I really like parallax occlusion mapping. And then there's substance SSS, subsurface scattering. It's sort of like ambient, like occlusion, like it gives your object more nicer color rounding. So I basically have this one on all the time. It makes it look softer, like baby, how to say, skin, if I'm right to say right. So this one is what it does, and this one I think it's implemented especially for this one, but I think it has sort of like random light bulbs floating around, and so that you get sort of like reflection on this guy. I'm not sure what this one, I'm not sure what this thing is doing, but if I turn it off, it loses the color of this specular. And then reflection is, it says it's reflection, so you can sort of like make things like reflected. I don't really use this one because it's a bit tricky, but if you know how to use it, might be good. But I'll just turn this one off for now. Okay, so this was about materials. So this is all what I wanted to introduce with Superphysical. Superphysical is basically really hard to start, and when you open it up, you get really confused. So basically, you just have to make sure that you understand light setup and material setup is the one that you want to play with it. And okay, so in the last, I'm gonna also introduce how to import substance materials. So if you don't know about substance, it's a really powerful tool that you can create like materials. Like in nowadays, there's like a lot of professionals are using these to create materials for game engine and things like that. And it's really cool. I think right now you can try it for free, but if you want to use it for long term, then I believe you have to pay for it. So it's not super cheap. And of course, there's a lot of different. There's also different things that you can choose. So you don't have to choose this one, but I believe it's one of the most standard material creating platform. So if you're interested in making it look like these, then I would highly suggest just trying this out. What is cool about it is one, they have this thing called substance source. Which then it's sort of like a browser that you can download. Okay, that's cool. Okay, yeah, so it's sort of like a browser that you can download different materials. So you don't have to create it by your own. You can browse here and find out the interesting one that you think it is and you want to use, and then you can just download that into your Substance local app. So what I did is I downloaded some of them from here when I had points. Now I don't. And then I opened up Substance Alchemist. So if you install Substance, there's 3 different softwares. I'm not going to explain all of them, but if you open up Substance Alchemist, you can import like materials that you downloaded. So here I have a few different materials. Today I want to use this one. It's like a crystal looking really nice material, and I'll change the color to red for today. Not this kind of red, like purple red. Okay, so once you have it downloaded, you should see or you can import your Substance downloaded folder to here, so that you can sort of like tweak inside Substance Alchemist. And then rough density. I'll just change this to something, and then technical parameter, something like this. Contrast. I'm not sure what they do. Hue shift. Yeah, I just keep it like this. Yeah, I want it really high position. Okay, well, I just keep it like this. I think it looks really nice. So yeah, so this is Substance Alchemist. You can play around. You can also change some view setting. You can change your, I think right now I'm using this plane, but you can also change preview with cylinder or sphere or cube, or rounded cube, cloth, whatever. So today I'm just gonna use it with plane, so I'll just keep it with plane. And what I have to do here is I press export, which is right on the right side, and then export current view. And then here, just make sure you check all these. Yeah, in vvvv, in Superphysical, we can use all these so we'll just make sure they're all on. And then make sure that you change this format to PNG or JPEG. For today, I'll change it to JPEG. And resolution, I'll just make it higher. And I'll specify the destination. Mine is inside vvvv assets materials. So I just put it here. I just changed the name because I already have one that's similar. And then I press export. And once this is done, you should be able to see your materials inside. So now mine is done. So if I go back to the folder that I located, so these are the materials that I already have, and this is what you download from the Substance, what was it, the browser thing. And then after you export it, you have all these 6 textures out of it. So we're getting really close. So for last, what we have to do is we just have to place all the materials that we downloaded into here. So this one is albedo. It doesn't say anything. Yeah, it's albedo texture, this one. So the first texture, you just press right click file texture, and then you go to the place that you and just make sure that you have the albedo texture to it. So mine is base color should be the albedo, so it's this one. And now I have this crystal texture mapped, but of course the other ones are not correct, so I'll change it and then go back again. Material. Then this one should be, what was it? This one is normal map, so make sure that it's normal map, and this one is the height map. I don't know why this goes back. Material, and this one is height map, right? So I'll change it to height map. Okay, I'm getting close. Roughness map. Set material. Roughness. Okay, getting close. And then I have metallics map, so I'll just change this one to metallic. And then last one, ambient occlusion. So I'll change this one to materials, and then to AO. Okay, here we go. So now we got this crystal look. So as you see right now, I told about subsurface scattering, so now the crystal looks realistic. And as you see, if I move the camera, the reflection is changing, and this is because it's by combination with normal map and metallic map, I'm not sure, and height map, it has this 3-dimensional reflection effect. So it's not only that it has 3-dimensional look, but in the same time it also has this reflection applied, which looks really cool. So I can apply this one to the floor. How I would do that is, I don't know why this one has 3 points, but it should be 4. So I'll turn on, okay, the fourth one is the floor. So now this one only has 3, but this one should be 4. So I'll turn on the one with floor. So now then this floor would also be parallax occlusion thing. I'll make it a bit smaller. So right now, so as you see, the floor also has this rich reflection. And also some part it's green because it's getting affected by the light that I placed. So yeah, this is the way how you import a substance material. And I mean, I went all through how to import, how to play with superphysical, and at the same time I also introduced how to import substance material inside into vvvv. And yeah, that was basically it for what I wanted to share. And last, I would highly recommend you to create your own node or sub patch, which allows you to import substance materials. So right now, as you saw, I dragged and dropped everything by hand, right? Like right-clicking file texture, right-clicking file texture, and that's pain in the ass. You don't want to do that all the time. So what I did is I created this sub patch called substance to vvvv, and by using this, I can just drag and drop everything, and then right-click here and choose the right folder. It takes a bit of time to load, but once it's done, I can easily change the texture with it. So I'm not gonna tell you how I did. I'm not gonna share all the process doing this because it's basically quite simple. It's just you just have to spend some time. So what I did here is it has the directory. So I right-click the directory and make sure that I can access that from outside. And then I use this dir node, which basically you can like mask what type of, so you can choose the directory where you want all the files. So you can say, I want all the files out from this folder. Then if you go to that file, it says like 190 something folders inside that directory. But you can also specify if you format, so let's say .jpg, then you can only get JPEG folders and things like that. Right now, I only have I think 5 textures inside this directory, so it spreads out 5, and then I separated that because this underscore, because substance materials comes with stylized amethyst crystal to underline base color or like underline height. So I separated that using where is it? I separated that using the separate node, and then I added this slash, and then I did get slice, and only I made it to just output the first one because what I need is this foam ceiling tiles mesh pattern. So whatever you download, this one has stylized amethyst crystal, this one has Iceland mossy base, blah blah blah. So they all have different names. So I just needed that, and then I used this plus string node to add the directory, and then slash this name, and then underscore normal or height or roughness. So they're all the same name. So I just make sure that I have 6 of them, and then I added .png here so that I know which format it is. So then I connected this to file texture so that they all have different materials coming out, so you don't always have to right click. So if you're interested, just copy paste this one. It shouldn't be that complicated. I mean, it's also good for you to learn how to do this spring thing. So you can, yeah, just try copying this by yourself. But by making this, you can easily import substance materials into it. This one is a blue one. Okay, so that was it for today. Today's tutorial might have been a bit complicated for some of you. Next time, on the next tutorial, I'm going to explain how to use lighting. This one should be more like direct and easy. So yeah, thanks for watching, and see you next time.